When you work your brain as hard as you guys do, you have to remember it is an organic organism, not much different than a body when it comes to getting it into shape for any type of high achievement physical thing. You must rest your brain, but it's best done strategically. I'm hearing things about like Ohio State football team now has all their guys wearing some kind of a wrist thing so they can measure their sleep and their exercise patterns and their heart rates to make sure that they're not always maxed out, but they're getting the correct amount of the cycle of hard work, resting, rejuvenation, hard work, rest, rejuvenation. There's a really important cycle in anything that says if you want people to perform at their maximum, if you run too much or if you bike too much, you're going to be burned out for the race. If you don't bike enough, you're going to be insufficiently strong. If you don't rest and give your brain diversity, instead of calling it distraction, you call it diversity. The key is to have it measured out like a professional athlete would have measured out his balance of exercise, workout, and rest. What I've learned from President Nielsen in the big picture of things is the greatest gift you can give people is to empower them to live at their best with their methods. The DPAR system is so broad in its application. It allows for adjustment over time. It allows for getting more strict with yourself. It allows for getting less strict with yourself. Just that cycle of review where you can go, you know what, how was the last week, or how was the last quarter, or how was the last month or year, and then let's do a revision on it. And with the awareness that this life is supposed to be a zigzag to some degree of getting to our final destination, but not in an exactly linear way. And then being able to finish every block of time, whether that block of time is 1 hour or 3 days or a week or 7 weeks or 27 weeks, and being able to look back in the rearview mirror and say, I hear my Father saying, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Now let's turn. And it eliminates any sense of comparison. Like, I know I'm doing my life differently than so-and-so is, but because I'm being guided differently. He's in a different phase, or he's got a different arrangement. I've got 2 kids, both adopted 12 years apart. There's no way I'm going to have the same lifestyle as someone who has 5 kids under the age of 7. I love that it really gives a way to self-check, self-measure, self-focus, and feel good about it without having to check to see if I'm doing as much as or the same as someone else. So please keep just checking with yourself, and if you're getting it right, let yourself believe you're getting it right and feel the pleasure of getting it right, and just make the small adjustments if all there are small adjustments. Don't make big adjustments if your divine guidance doesn't say to make a big adjustment.
If you're finding this video helpful or want to help us reach others in need, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it really supports our channel. Thank you.
When I really tried to get my life in order in my early 20s, I became a disciple of the Franklin-Covey concepts, and within a short period of time, less than 2 years, I started feeling myself becoming a type A personality type, and I was like, holy cow, this is driving me nuts. And I had the latitude at the time to swing my pendulum the opposite direction. There's got to be people who don't live their lives in a constant state of stress, so I actually started studying Asian psychology. I found an author named Deepak Chopra. His translation of Asian or Indian psychology into American language that was understandable had a huge impact on me with respect to the soft side of being a student of Christ. The slow down, feel, rest, and using the goals as a homing device as opposed to a structured tool that always makes you do this next, do that next, do this, do that next. And so I still refer to a couple of his books when I feel overstressed, because it helps me keep the spirit of the law as opposed to the anxiety-based rigidness. This is like the 8th time in the last 2 weeks where I feel inspired to talk about the creation phrase in the story of the creation, and there is a space there. There was a space there, and we will go down and we will take of these materials and we will build an earth. And the key is creating a space, which is not a very Western philosophy of creating a block of silence, a block of quiet, a space where revelation can be received. And I remember having to adapt it to my personality. I don't do well to do that kneeling prayer where you start the prayer and then you ponder, because I'm usually asleep within 13 seconds of holding still on the side of my bed. And so I gained a technique where I just set a timer for like 5 minutes. I started a prayer, and then I would pace back and forth with the notebook on the desk, just letting it be quiet, and then stop, look up a verse that came to mind, and then pace some more, and just kind of leave room in my head, and then think of another verse and read it and get more detailed on it. Because pondering was not a very familiar concept. I knew how to have racing thoughts, but I've since learned there's a difference between racing thoughts and pondering. And by putting more useful information in my head and then creating a space. Now, I can't do that a lot. I can only do that for like 30 minutes per week in a single block of time, because a lot starts happening now that I've practiced it. And if I get too many ideas going too fast, then I just get overwhelmed. That's the other satanic trick on me. If I successfully get inspired ideas going, he just starts dumping more in there. Yeah, and you could do this, and you could do that, and you could do this, and you could do that. And I'm all, holy cow. Remember, there's this yin-yang balance between being anxiously engaged, rigid, focused, attentive, and having the warm spirit of nurturing and softness and flow. So remember that it's not one or the other. It's supposed to be this combination of the two, where you know when to use the tool of rigidness and you know when to use the tool of fluidity, and you don't feel guilty for using either one when it's the right one for the job. So you keep your toolbox loaded with capabilities, but that doesn't mean you use them all the time. I can be rigid, I can be flexible, and so you just look at your day and you go, which one of the tools would be wise to use today? Because yesterday I watched 2.5 football games while doing laundry, cleaning the floor, wrapping some presents that my wife gets overwhelmed by, those things that look silly to be overwhelmed by from my perspective, but it made a big difference for her. I'm all, okay, that's a win-win. Brainlessly doing brainless chores while I'm distracted by football, and my brain needed that rest before I came into a hard week of work. So trust yourself when you ponder the needs of your situation. Make a plan, act upon the plan, reflect on it. Was it good? Was it not good? And just keep editing your plan until you achieve the success you want. Everything in our system, every goal, every standard is based on you. We don't tell you what a lost battle is. We don't tell you what your manpower squares should be. We tell you what categories, because we found those to be consistent, but don't let other people's expectations of you control you. You define the expectation, you adjust the expectation based on wisdom, and don't let anyone else pressure you into what you should be doing. You guys are not dumb. You know all the menu of things that could be done that would be wise, but you can't do it all.